I have very specific branding. I do a lot of the fitness modeling, and I do comedic, and I do play sort of these lovable idiots. But I think I'm smarter than that. I really like playing video games. I have a few very close friends that we have meals together, and I help them move places, and I don't really like being at bars or partying. I like being with people that I really care about and having quality time together. That's super important to me.
What about, because in life sometimes we go through good times, and I don't want to say bad times because I don't like using that word because it's not so good times.
Less
right?
good times.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what has been your biggest project or the project that you have felt most proud of in your career?
The project that I have created that I'm most proud of, I'm working on a series right now called Bookman on race. We released the first one. Bookman is a woke superhero who shows up to fix unjust situations, but always makes them worse because he won't listen to anybody. So it's a satire on liberal elitism and people who wear wokeness as badges of honor. Mm-hmm. It's shot like a comic book. We released the first one. It's getting into a lot of festivals, and I'm really excited about that. We're shooting the next one on Sunday.
Wow.
And it's Woke Man on Women in the Workplace, I think we're going to call it. I'm flirting with calling it Women in the Woke Place just because I think it's funny. But it's Woke Man shows up to give a sexual harassment seminar to a room full of women, which is already funny. But then he makes his, I won't give away too much of it, but it's the same policies as the first one. So yeah, and then the women in this one end up educating him, which I think we sort of missed on the first one because I want it to be clear that he's attempting to be a better person.
What about your biggest obstacle? So that special thing that has been the biggest learning experience in your life.
The biggest learning experience in my life. This industry is really hard. It's we get rejected, I don't know, 30, 40 times a week, right? If not in person, then online. So I think it's staying positive has been it's hard here, but I think I'm getting better at it than I used to, but it also helps that it's going better than it used to. Mm-hmm. So I can't really complain. I shoot a lot of commercials and a lot of catalogs, and those pay the rent. Yes. And then I get the opportunity to create things like the Queen's Project with Ken and the Boys, and to create Woke Man and these other shorts I've been working on. I think my bestie Riley and I were looking at making a feature in the fall, and he actually has a movie coming out next week.
Wow.
That got stuck in post-production for 4 years. We never thought it was going to come out. And he wrote this movie, I don't know, 15 years ago. And then but it's going to AMC theaters nationwide. I think it's going to Orlando. But yeah, it comes out April 19th. It's called Stuck. So I'm amazed by that story because this movie that was never going to come out is finally seeing the light of day.
That's pretty awesome. And you have the poster on your social media. So for those in the audience that would like to follow you, can you tell us your social media so they can stay up to date on your projects, on your modeling career, on your fitness pictures, on the Queen's Project, and everything you have in hand?
So I'm at BJ Gruber, pretty much across the board. And then the Queen's Project is at TQP Series.
So talk to us, you said something which is very important, which is the hard part of being in the entertainment business and living in New York City. How do you handle a world full of no's? You mentioned that, and you said that staying positive, it's very important, but how you handle a world full of no's, let's say you go for an audition and you're trying because I want that role so bad, and then you get a call saying, you were not chosen. So how can you recover from that?
They never even tell you. Almost all the time, you never even hear back.
So it's a silence, right?
Yeah.
So you assume you didn't get it.
My way of doing that is I expect that I probably won't, and then if I do, it's I win the lottery, right? Which I win the lottery pretty often then. My booking rate's not bad. But yeah, it's more, you can't think of those as failures. Because especially if it's the casting directors are bringing you in multiple times for different projects, it's not really a no. It's just like a not this time. So you just keep going in, and you'll be in the next one or the one after that. Like when you're auditioning, I've been in for a lot of TV shows lately, and I booked a couple of them, and I shot those, but you're not always auditioning for that show. You're auditioning for one that's in a month or 3.
Yes.
So that's how I deal with that.
So for people, sometimes it can be challenging to say, this is not my time. How you as a person, as a human, as someone that has dreams and goals, and someone that, of course, you also have your responsibilities. You have to pay rent, you have to pay your bills, of course. So how hard it is to be able to say to yourself, this is not my time, but my time will come. I know it's part of staying positive, but how can you tell us, and which tips have you used in the past that you say, this has worked for me, and this has been very helpful for me in my career?
I think one way to take control of that and not have to wait for anybody is to create your own art, which is what Ken started doing, and I was lucky enough to jump in on him with. And the rest of the guys are really awesome too, and it's gonna be awesome. So we became actors to be storytellers. So finding a way to tell your story where you don't have to rely on other people can be a really useful outlet for that. There's play reading groups.
Yes.
There's other outlets. There's a million different things you can do.
If I give you 1 minute to tell us your story, what would you choose? Let's say you have, just to pick the highlights, and you have just 1 minute to say BJ Gruber's story. Because you're a storyteller, and you're portraying a character in the Queen Project. You portray someone when you go and you stay on stage, when you sing, you're delivering a message. But how about BJ as a human being, and not as a character part of a web series, or not as Tarzan at Disney? So BJ as a human.
BJ Gruber is an extremely hardworking and ambitious person. I've been training my whole life to be able to tell these stories, and I'm getting these opportunities, and I'm really happy about it. So the two strongest adjectives I would use for myself would be ambitious and hardworking, man, and passionate. My passion really makes me live, and it's part of what's hard to differentiate my art from me is that my art is me, and I've been working my whole life on this. And I'm not exactly my branding, nobody is, but they're integral to each other.
How important is working with passion?
There's gigs you take for money, right? And those are necessary. But if you're an artist and there's no passion, why are you doing this? You could do anything else and make way more money. It's pointless.
You mentioned something that you were ambitious. So for some people, if you say ambition, they might think, that's not very negative. But I personally believe it's actually the opposite. How do you transfer, or you put ambition as a positive skill for BJ Gruber?
I think ambition already is a positive thing. You're aspiring to greatness. I don't want to be around people who don't want to be great. Then what are we making? I think we're all ambitious. We all want something. We all want to be somewhere else than where we are. So I don't think it's a negative thing at all. I think it's important. I think it's intertwined with passion. If you're passionate, you probably have ambition for your passion. I don't see how you couldn't.
And what's that somewhere for you? Because you said we all want to be somewhere different than where we are at this point. So what your ambition tells you, how do you see BJ Gruber in the next 5 years?
I would really love to be in some more box office feature films. I would love to be able to do some more comedy. I love all kind of areas of storytelling, between comedy and drama and action. I've I've done basically all of them in like some way at some point in some indie sort of fashion. I don't care as long as like if I get to tell these stories and like present it to people for their enjoyment or for their catharsis. Like, because the idea is for theater or film or art in general, you're either providing escapism, entertainment, right, which is a good thing,
yes,
or you're hoping to change them, hopefully for the better. You're like trying to provoke thought in some way. And if I can do either of those things, then I'm happy.
What's your dream role?
My dream role, I don't think it's been made yet. I really want to play like a comedic superhero. I like wrote one up. I don't know if I want to give this idea away, although I already posted it on the internet. His name's Penguar. He's grew up with mole people in the underground. His parents were moles. He's adopted, and he's an 8th jaguar and an 8th penguin as well. So he's got some animal related superpowers. But that's just a silly idea I have. But like that would be my dream role.
That's pretty cool. So what about you as a person? How do you see yourself in New York after having that dream role, after being on the marquee and being part of a multi-millionaire production? How do you see BJ Gruber after reaching that goal, after being and stepping on that somewhere else?
Well, there's always more art to make, and then if I have that money, there's more projects that I have ideas for that I would love to be able to produce. So I like there is no end game. It's like it's keep working. It's a lifelong project, you know. And like I've seen a lot of my friends who think that these $1 million jobs will make them happy, and they're not happy then, and they get it, and they're like, oh, but like what now? Like I'm still not happy, but like so I don't think the money or the fame really like solves like your problems, except for like can I afford rent and like can I afford my own taxes, which are huge problems to have.
Yes.
But you know, it's like our existence. We have our lives, right? They're finite. We have to figure out what to do with them. And like hopefully it's something that makes the world a better place. So I just want to make art and I want to make the world a better place.
What makes you happy?
What makes me happy? Writing my own stuff, especially with Riley. Like he's a great writing partner. I'm like sort of scattered. Like I can be kind of eccentric and insane, and he's very good at like focusing that and putting it on paper, which I find useful because I can do it myself, but it's just like he's so good at it, and it's more fun with him too.
What about now that we have spoken about your career in the entertainment business? For those of you that follow BJ Gruber, you can see that he's a lot into the fitness world. So talk to us about that passion when you exercise. Because some people are doing it because they just want to have a good body and just go ahead and show it up. And nowadays, with social media, there's a little bit of everything, of course. But how do you balance that out?
It's easy to get views with fitness and skin, so I'm like totally abusing that to try and get people to like watch the things I create. So I'm using that to get people to watch the Queen's Project, and I'm using that to get people to watch Bookman on race. But like it's just so much. It's just like you can get so much more traction with that. Like Instagram loves skin for some reason, and if that's like what's going to help like our art take off the ground, then that's what I'm doing. But I love fitness in general. Like I studied some like fitness at school to be like a group fitness instructor too. Fitness has always been like kind of a meditation for me. And that I run on a pretty high stress level because like everything I do with all these gigs like just like makes my brain crazy. So when like I'm completely exhausted, it just brings like clarity to me. It makes it like easier for me to relax and like get out some of that crazy energy.
So BJ, can you talk to us a little bit about the upcoming projects for you as an artist? Besides the one you spoke at the beginning, that you cannot give many details, and besides the 4th season of the Queen Project on YouTube, can you tell us a little bit more on what are you cooking on your side that people can see coming up soon on your social media?
Yeah, so those two things. I mean, I'm in pre-pro for Bookman, so that's taking up basically all of my time. I booked so many of these gigs like a day or two before that I don't know what's going to come up next. so it's just like it's always very spontaneous. There's a couple other